Hey, 1.6 fractions, day 2. So this time we're going to talk about addition and subtraction, and this is the one that I feel like is a little bit harder. Okay? When we add or subtract fractions, we need to find the lowest common denominator. We do not need to do that for multiplication and division. It's only for adding and subtraction. We need to add or subtract the like number of parts. Okay? Remember that once we have the lowest common denominator, the denominator does not change. You might want to highlight that. Okay? We don't add, we don't subtract the denominators. It doesn't change. We only add or subtract the numerators from each other in the order in which they appear. Okay? You must always put fractions in the lowest form in your final answer to get full form marks. Okay? AKA, you get marks off if answers are not in the lowest forms. So let's start. There's only 3 examples here, and there's a couple word problems. Okay, we got 3 over 4 plus 1 over 2. So our lowest common denominator, I tend to go up all the time. So if we take a look at multiples of 2, like 2, 4, 6, 8, multiples of 4, 4, 8, 12, okay, we choose the one that's like the lowest. So in order to express 1/2 with the denominator 4, so I'm going to bring down the 3/4, what we're doing is we're essentially multiplying 1/2 by the number 1. So like multiply by the number 1. But it's not going to look like a 1. For this one, our 1 is going to look like a 2 over 2. I want to highlight that we're simply multiplying by 1 because we're not changing the number. We know that if we multiply anything by the number 1, it's going to stay the same. So if we multiplied 1/2 by 2 over 2, 1 times 2 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4. So the 2/4 is equivalent to the 1/2 because we just multiplied by 1. Okay, and now all we do is add the numerators, so we get 5, keep the denominator over 4. Okay, B, 5 over 7 minus 1 over 3. So we're going to have to multiply both of these because if we pattern the 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, 14, 18, 21. And if we pattern the 7, well, 7's not a fact or a multiple of 3. 7, 14. Oh, this was 15. 14 is not a multiple of 3. 21 is a multiple of 3. So our lowest common denominator is going to be 21. So the 5 over 7, we're going to multiply by 1, but it's going to be like 3 over 3. And then the 1 over 3, we're going to multiply by 7 over 7. So we get 15 over 21 minus 7 over 21. So 15 minus 7, we're left with 8 over 21. Okay, and C. Well, we have mixed numbers here. We have 1 3/5 plus 2 1/4. So let's go ahead and multiply and add. So 5 times 1 plus 3 is going to be our numerator, and that stays over 5. And then 4 times 2 plus 1 is going to be our numerator here, and that's over 4. So 5, 6, 7, 8, we get 8 over 5 plus 9 over 4. So all we did so far was convert from a mixed number into an improper fraction. And now what we can do is we can find the lowest common denominator. So let's start multiples of 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. Multiples of 5, 5, 10, 15, 20. Okay, so our lowest common denominator is going to be 20. We're going to multiply 8 over 5 by 4 over 4. And we're going to multiply 9 over 4 by 5 over 5. So 8 times 4 is 32. So we get 32 over 20. And 9 times 5 is 45. And that's also going to be over 20. So we add the numerators and we get 77. And we keep the denominator, which is 20. Example 2. You and your 3 friends share a cake to celebrate Abdul's graduation. In total, there are 16 pieces of cake. Ooh, ooh. Okay, you eat 1/8 of the cake, Jake eats 1/4 of the cake, Matt eats 3/8 of the cake. Abdul ate the rest. So we don't actually know what Abdul ate, but he ate the rest. So first, A, what fraction of the cake did you, Jake, and Matt eat? So I ate 1/8, Jake ate 1/4, Matt ate 3/8. So we have 2 common denominators here, and if we multiply 4 by 2, we'll also get a common denominator. So we would have to multiply 1/4 by 2 over 2. Again, we're just multiplying by 1. It's not so scary. Something equivalent. We get 1/8 plus 2/8 plus 3/8. So 3, 4, 5, 6. So we add the numerators, we get 6 over 8. Yes, this one can break down a little bit more. Both of these can divide by 2. So we get 3/4. So therefore, me, Jake, and Matt ate 3/4 of the cake. Okay, what fraction of the cake did Abdul eat? So there's 1 whole cake, and we're going to subtract the 3/4 that me, Jack, and Matt ate. So we're going to go 1 minus 3/4. So how can we get 1 over 1 as a common denominator? Well, that's easy. It's just 4. So we're going to multiply this by 4 over 4. Let me go over this more open. Okay, so we get 4 over 4 minus 3 over 4. We subtract the numerators, so we get 1 over 4. So therefore, Abdul ate 1/4 of the cake. Okay, and C, how many slices did each person eat? So I'm going to actually list everyone. So me, I ate 1/8. Jake ate 1/4. Matt ate 3/8. And Abdul ate 1/4. So we know that there are 16 slices. So if I multiply 1/8 by 16, this is going to take 1/8 of 16. So I get, and again, this is 16 over 1. So we're still doing the same thing. 1 times 16 is 16. 8 times 1 is 8. So I ate 2 slices. Okay. 1/4 times 16 is going to give me 16 over 4. Jake ate 4 slices. Matt ate 3 times 16, which is going to give us 48 over 8. So that's 6 slices. And Abdul and Jake ate the same amount. So times 16, that's going to be 16 over 4. So he ate 4 slices. And because this is a word problem, we can say, I ate 2 slices. Jake ate 4 slices. Matt ate 6 slices. And Abdul, I keep spelling that wrong. Abdul ate 4 slices. And as a check, if we added all these up, we'd get 16 slices. So we can also check that. Example 3, the Smiths took 9 2/3 hours to get to Rivière-du-Loup, Quebec. Okay, from there, it is another 8.5 hours to Amherst, Nova Scotia. The Browns took, so that's what the Smiths did, okay? So let me write that down. So 9 2/3 and then 8.5. Okay, now the Browns, and I'm kind of like separating my paper. They took 16 2/3 hours to get to Winnipeg, Manitoba. Who was traveling for longer and how much longer were they traveling? Okay, so the Browns, we don't have to do anything. That one's already like summed up. So let's actually add the Smiths together and see how long that they traveled for altogether. So let's go 3 times 9 plus 2. 3 times 9 plus 2. What we're doing is we're taking this mixed number and we're putting it into something that's functional, which is an improper fraction. Okay, we can actually work with an improper fraction. So then 2 times 8 plus 1, and that's going to be over 2, right? Same denominator. So what we're actually trying to add is 18, 27, 20, 29 over 3 plus 16, 17 over 2. So 3 and 2 are both prime numbers. So what that means to me is that we're going to be multiplying this one by 2 over 2 and this one by 3 over 3. That's also a little bit of a hack. Like if you're feeling a little lazy and you don't want to pattern these on the side of your paper, like 2, 4, 6, 8, 3, 6, 9, 12. 2 times 3 and 3 times 2 are always going to equal the same number. Okay, and we're actually going to get into that and what that's called as like a law. Okay, so 2 times 29 is 58, and that's now going to be over 6. And 17 times 3, we're going to get 51, and that's going to be now over 6. So at this point, we just want to add the numerators. So I get 109 over 6. Okay, now the Browns. I am going to put the Browns into a mixed number because then we can convert it and then compare. We can't compare right now. One has the denominator 6, one has the denominator 3. So let's do 3 times 16 plus 2, and that's going to be over 3. Okay, so this is going to be 50 over 3. And if we're looking for a common denominator so that we can compare, we're going to multiply this by 1, but it's really by 2 over 2. So the Browns traveled for 100 over 2 hours, and, oh, that's not over 2. I'm sorry, that's over 6. 100 over 6 hours, and the Smiths traveled 109 over 6 hours. Right now, we can compare. So what is bigger, 109 over 6 or 100 over 6? 109 over 6. Okay, so the Smiths traveled for longer, and it wants to know like by how much. Okay, so we can simply subtract these two, and we get 9 over 6. lowest terms, we get 3 over 2. So therefore, the Smiths traveled for 109 over 6 hours, and the Browns traveled for 100 over 6 hours. HR. And then we'll say the Smiths traveled for 3/2 hours longer. Okay. 3/2, that just means 1.5 hours longer. And if we take like 100 and we put it into our calculator, we divide by 6. Again, this is 16 2/3, right? It's right up here. And if we do the same for 109, just to like conceptualize this, this is 18 and a 6th. 18 and 6 hours, 16 and 2/3. Okay, but you can leave everything in as improper fractions. Okay, example 4. The dry ingredients of your favorite cookies include 1/2 cup of sugar, 1.5 cups of flour. So let's just list these. I'm going to try to list them like this. 1/2 cup of sugar, 1.5 cups of flour, and 1 2/3 cup of chocolate chips, and 1/4 cup of baking powder. What is the total amount of dry ingredients required? So let's go ahead and add these. So we're going to go 1/2 plus 1.5 plus 1 2/3 plus 1/4. And it's going to be the total. So first let's take these mixed numbers and put them into fractions. So I'm going to do a little bit of this work on the side of the paper. Okay, so for 1.5, we're going to do 2 times 1 plus 1 over 2, which is 3 over 2. Okay, so bring down the 1/2. This changes to 3 over 2. Now, 1 2/3 is going to equal 3 times 1 plus 2, and that's over 3. So 3, 4, 5. So I get 5 over 3. So replace 1 2/3 with 5 over 3. Bring down the 1/4. Okay, and we're flowing down the page every single time. Now, this is a little bit more tricky than the ones that we've seen. We want to find a common denominator of 2, 3, and 4. So let's pattern these numbers on the side of our paper. So 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21. Did I get anything alike? Oh, 12. Next one. Okay, so our lowest common denominator is going to be 12. So we have to go back to this equation and we have to multiply every single term so that the denominator is 12. So 1/2 is going to be multiplied by 6 over 6 because 2 times 6 is going to give us that denominator 12. So 6 times 1 is 6. Okay, for 3/2, we have another 2 in the denominator. So again, 6 over 6. So 18 over 12. Okay, 5 over 3. 3 times 4 is going to give us 12. So again, we're multiplying by 1. We're multiplying by 4 over 4. So we're going to go 20 over 12. And then 4 is going to have to be multiplied by 3. So 3 over 3. So we get 3 over 12. Okay, and at this point, all we want to do is add all of the numerators together. So we add 6 plus 18 plus 20 plus 3, and we get 47 over 12. We can leave this because 47 is a prime number. Okay, if you do want to convert this into mixed numbers, I'll go through it for this one. So 47 divided by 12 is going to give us like 3.91666 forever. So we're going to call that a 3, and we're going to keep the denominator. Now, we're going to use the formula from yesterday, 3 times 12, and we're going to subtract 47 minus this. So 47 minus 36. And if we do 47 minus 36, we get 11. So 3 and 11/12 cups of dry ingredients are required. So therefore, 3 and 11/12. But if you're going to be lazy, you can also just leave it as 47 over 12 cups of dry ingredients are required.